Hello friends, and welcome to Syncopated Saturday Night, presented by the Scott Joplin International Ragtime Foundation. My name is Bryan Wright, and I am the Artistic Director for the Scott Joplin Foundation, and it's my distinct pleasure to welcome you here this evening, where for the next hour we'll be hearing what I think is some pretty good ragtime music played by some of today's best pianists. If you've been with us before, you know pretty much how it works. We'll have two sets, one from each of our featured performers, and in the middle I might play a tune and maybe even introduce a special guest. So I hope you'll stick around for the hour ahead. We'll be hearing first from Paul Orsi out of California, and then we'll traverse the United States and hear from Dalton Ridenour out of New York City. But before we continue, a quick announcement. These Syncopated Saturday Night programs are being brought to you by the Scott Joplin Foundation with the hope of raising some money for the performers that you see in these videos. As you probably are aware, over the past year and a half, quite a number of musicians have found their sources of income severely disrupted by the pandemic. A lot of these musicians are accustomed to playing regularly at restaurants, at bars, at festivals, at other places, and they simply haven't had those opportunities over the past year and a half. So we're endeavoring to raise a little bit of money for them, so if you could contribute, we would greatly appreciate it. It's not required, but it is encouraged. If you'd like to donate, please head over to the Scott Joplin Foundation's website, which is www.scottjoplin.org/donate. Again, that's scottjoplin.org/donate. Or if you'd prefer to mail a check, head over to the Scott Joplin Foundation's website, and at that same site you will find an address where you can mail your check or money order if you prefer to give that way. Okay, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. As I mentioned, our first performer today will be Paul Orsi out of California. I first heard of Paul, I guess, almost 20 years ago, when I got a CD in the mail from him and just fell in love with it right away. His playing is so joyous, so clean, and he has such a talent for arranging well-known classics of the ragtime genre in new and in innovative and exciting ways, and I know you will hear some of that in his set this evening. Paul is also the current reigning champion of the World Championship Old Time Piano Playing Contest in Oxford, Mississippi. If you're ever in that area around Memorial Day, I highly recommend it. It's always a lot of fun. But I could go on and on about Paul Orsi. The best thing is for you to hear him yourself. So we take you now to Southern California and Mr. Paul Orsi.
Good evening. My name is Paul Orsi. I live in Southern California, and welcome to the Syncopated Saturday Night program. I want to thank the Scott Joplin Foundation for putting this program on and inviting me to be a part of it tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun with these rags and songs. The first one I will perform for you tonight is a rag from 1907 by Adeline Shepard, Pickles and Peppers Rag. And it was very popular in 1907, but it became more popular the next year in 1908 when it was used as the presidential campaign theme song for William Jennings Bryan as he ran for president. And you might go, I don't remember William Jennings Bryan so much. That's because he didn't win. But at any rate, William Jennings Bryan thought ragtime might put him over the top and give him some political edge, but it, in this case, didn't help him. But ragtime was such a popular music, and so that's why he went that direction. So here we go with Pickles and Peppers Rag by Adeline Shepard. Great song. Thank you so much. Thank you. Our next selection is a modern rag written in 2017 that I wrote with my daughter, Janet Orsi, who's a jazz musician, jazz singer. And actually, she just had a baby about a month ago, and we're so proud of her, a little baby Felix, and that makes me a grandpa for the first time. So we're really excited. Hi, Felix. Hi, Janet. Anyway, the rag Sippin' Sarsaparilla, we dedicated it to Stephanie Trick and Paolo Alderighi, who are some good friends of ours who are wonderful musicians, and we just love them so much, and they're such an inspiration to us. So thank you very much, Stephanie and Paolo. Hello. So here we go with Sippin' Sarsaparilla, a refreshing rag. thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Now for something completely different. I'd like to perform for you a song from the period, from 1937, and it was used in a movie. That movie happened to win the Academy Award that year in 1937, and you're rolling that Rolodex in your brain. What movie won the Academy Award in 1937? Well, I'll help you out. It was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and the song was Someday My Prince Will Come. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, our next selection tonight is a piece by Scott Joplin. I would be remiss to not play something by Scott Joplin tonight, so I'm thrilled to do it. It's from 1901. It's his Peacherine Rag. And you've probably wondered, what does that mean, Peacherine? And the sheet music cover has some peach blossoms on it, so you probably think, oh, that's maybe a peach and a tangerine. But there's something else on the sheet music cover. It's a dancing girl. Yes, a Peacherine in those days was a term for a pretty girl. In 1901, she's a Peacherine. That's what it means. I Googled it. You could too, and you'll see that. And it also was an expression during the day of something that was really cool, far out groovy, from the 60s. Something is, that's Peacherine. So here we go with Scott Joplin's Peacherine Rag. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. For my final selection tonight, I'm going to perform Tiger Rag. Legend has it that Jelly Roll Morton wrote the piece. It was actually published in 1917 by the original Dixieland Jazz Band. I'm sure that happened a lot in those days. But Morton played it early in probably 1904, 1906, something like that. And he made it famous by putting his stamp upon it. He used his elbow to simulate the sound of a roaring tiger. So we'll try some of those antics tonight. And I want to point out that in the performance of this piece, no animals will be harmed. Also, this beautiful piano that is my piano that I work out on every day will not be harmed either. So I'm a trained professional, don't you worry. Even though it may look like I'm harming the piano or an animal or something, nobody's going to get hurt here. All right, enjoy Tiger Rag. Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing all of you again in person real soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Paul. It was great seeing you too, and we certainly hope to see you again in person before too much longer. Thank you for a really enjoyable set. I loved every bit of it. I loved your Sippin' Sarsaparilla. I loved your Someday My Prince Will Come. And I especially liked that arrangement of the Peacherine Rag by Scott Joplin, a really great piece. And I've seen a lot of people play Tiger Rag with the elbow in the middle section, but never with a foot like that. So hats off to you, Paul. That was a lot of fun. And I'm so glad to know your piano wasn't harmed. Thank you for playing for us this evening. Well, folks, if you're enjoying the program, I invite you to stop by the Scott Joplin Foundation's website, which is scottjoplin.org/donate. Kick in a few bucks if you can. The money collected tonight will go to the performers that you see in tonight's program. So we thank you very much for your generosity. Again, scottjoplin.org/donate. You can give there with your credit card online, or you can find an address there where you can mail your check or money order. Also, don't forget, if you're enjoying this, to like and subscribe to the Scott Joplin International Ragtime Foundation's YouTube channel. That way you can be notified of future episodes in the Syncopated Saturday Night series, and we do hope there will be many more. Okay, if you've been with us before, you probably know that I usually come to you from my piano bench. Today, for no particular reason other than I was getting a little tired of sitting there, I thought we might come to you from my record room, my Ragtime record room. But I'm going to head over to the piano now and play a number for you. This is one that was composed by a guy named Clifford Adams, who was based, as far as we know, in Omaha, Nebraska. And shortly after the turn of the century, he wrote this rather quirky-sounding rag that's also a lot of fun to play. It's called Ink Splotch Rag. So I hope you'll enjoy Ink Splotch Rag. And there you have the Ink Splotch Rag by Clifford Adams out of Omaha, Nebraska. Not long ago, I was able to play a concert for the Northern Virginia Ragtime Society, and I played that piece, and somebody in the audience commented that my left hand looked awfully funny playing that last section. It's kind of weird. You get those syncopated figures in the left hand, and you have to hold up the left hand for just a beat too long, and I don't quite know what to do with it. So it ends up, I guess, flopping around and coming back down. But oh well, it's a fun piece. I hope you enjoyed it. And at this point, I would like to invite out a special guest because we have a little extra time on today's program. My wife Yuko is here with me, and whenever we come together to the Scott Joplin Festival, we like to always do a couple of songs as a pair, and so we'd like to do one for you now. This one comes from the mid-1930s, and it's one of the only songs I know about hamburgers. It happens to be a really great tune, a really catchy tune, even if the lyrics aren't exactly the most poetic things ever written. I hope you'll enjoy it. It's called One Hamburger for Madame. So Yuko, why don't you come out and join me? We'll head back to the piano, and here we go.
The scene is in the lunch cart, owned by a couple of Greeks. Enter Billings the butler. In a dignified tone he speaks. One hamburger for madame, done to a turn, don't let it burn. You might add a bit of onion, just a bite. Madame is dining in the kitchen tonight. One hamburger for madame. Worcestershire sauce? Oh yes, of course. And a little piece of pickle if you can. Madame's had a scrap with her old man. The cook prepared their very tasty spread, from soup to nuts, as is the fashion. So the master was annoyed when Madame said, tonight I would indulge my favorite passion. So it's one hamburger for Madame. Terribly crude, don't you agree? But as long as you're about it, make it 3. 1 for Madame and 2 for me.
a fun little song, One Hamburger for Madame, from I think it was 1936. As far as I know, it was only ever recorded one time by Jack Shilkret's orchestra with Chick Bullock singing it. And I came across that record some years ago and was just very taken with it. And I think it was Frederick Hodges who kindly supplied me with the sheet music so we could perform it for you tonight. So there you have One Hamburger for Madame. And thank you again, Yuko, for joining me on that number. Okay, well, I promised you a set by Dalton Ridenour, and that's what we're going to have next. We're going to head up to New York City, where Dalton currently lives. He is, I believe, a native of Missouri and has performed frequently at the Scott Joplin Festival there, as well as a number of other jazz and ragtime festivals around the country. He performs often in New York City with, I could try to name names, but it's basically everybody. Dalton Ridenour plays with everybody in New York. Vince Giordano's Nighthawks on occasion, the Love Struck Balladeers, many others. He's just such a delight to listen to. He plays with a very solid, engaging swing style, and I think you're going to enjoy this. Before we head to Dalton, though, a quick reminder, if you're enjoying the program and you'd like to donate, scottjoplin.org/donate. Again, scottjoplin.org/donate. All money collected tonight will go to the performers you see in tonight's program, so thank you for that. Okay, let's head up to New York now, and Mr. Dalton Ridenour.
Hello, this is Dalton Ridenour, and I'm very happy to be here to play some music for you. And I want to thank the Scott Joplin Foundation for inviting me to be a part of this. And let's get right to it. This is my favorite Joplin rag called the Gladiolus Rag. a good one by the great Fats Waller called I've Got a Feeling I'm Falling. Here's a stride number by the great James P. Johnson called Keep Off the Grass. This is an original rag of mine commissioned by Danny Matson called the Rivka Road Rag. thank you to the Scott Joplin Foundation for having me. And also, I just noticed we have radiator heat here. I live in a really old building here in New York City, so you hear some some sound in the background once in a while. It's my radiator is like spitting out air. So, all right, yeah, this is the Old Rugged Cross. Thank you.
Thank you, Dalton Ridenour, for that exquisite set. I especially enjoyed that version of Old Rugged Cross. I don't often hear hymns adapted into ragtime, but I think that proves it can be done very convincingly and very well. And of course I say that, and now I'm reminded that Paul Orsi has also played a number of hymns in ragtime. And you know, your playing Dalton on that one reminds me a bit of the fantastic West Coast jazz pianist of the late 40s, Johnny Whitwer, who had a similar sort of hybrid of stride and barrel house. Very, very satisfying. I really liked that. Well, thank you, Dalton. Thank you, Paul Orsi. And thanks especially to all of you watching this program tonight for your support of the Scott Joplin Foundation and of these Syncopated Saturday night programs. Before we go, one final reminder that if you enjoyed tonight's program and you'd like to contribute a little money, which will go to help the musicians you see in tonight's program, you can stop by the Joplin Foundation's website, www.scottjoplin.org/donate. And there you can use your credit card to send a donation online, or you can find an address for the Joplin Foundation where you can mail your check or money order. And as I say, all money collected goes directly to the musicians that you see. And before we go, a reminder to like and subscribe to the Joplin Foundation's YouTube channel if you enjoyed this program. That way you can be notified of future installments of the Syncopated Saturday Night series, and we do hope there will be many more. But that's just about it for tonight. I'd like to thank our video editor, Bob Walters. I'd like to thank Chris Robinson and everyone else on the Scott Joplin board for helping to make these programs possible. Thanks to our performers, thanks to all of you. And Bob Darch, I think, is trying to tell me that it's time to say goodnight. We hope you've enjoyed the program, and we hope we'll see you next time for more Ragtime on Syncopated Saturday Night. Until then, be well, take care, and good night.